keep my mind sharp for when the moment came that I'd be able to drop back into the fight for real. Or so I hoped. A full 14 months after the first surgery, I was once again rolling through a hospital corridor, on my back, staring at the fluorescent lights in the ceiling, headed to pre-op with no guarantees. While the techs and nurses shaved me down and prepped me up, I thought about all I'd accomplished in the military and wondered, was it enough? If the docs couldn't fix me this time, would I be willing to retire, satisfied? That question lingered in my head until the anesthesiologist placed an oxygen mask over my face and counted down softly in my ear. Just before lights out, I heard the answer erupt from the abyss of my jet black soul. Fuck no! There's so much to unpack here, but I'm going to start with a simple question.
Yes, sir.
Which is, your resting heart rate in the 30s?
Yeah, it was sick, man. I had trained so much. So as you know, I did a bunch of heart rate training. So I was really big into zone training. So I did 80 to 90% of my runs at a zone 2. So there's like 5 zones. Zone 5 being like Usain Bolt, where you're trying to run a 100-yard dash. That's as fast as you can go. So zone 1, so that's zone 5, fast as you can go. Zone 1 is like that recovery thing I would do on Sundays sometimes. I would sit on the bike and I would spin real low at like a 90 to 110 heart rate. That's recovery. Zone 2 was that's where I would do all the fat burning.
Right.
And that was my all-day zone. And that trained my heart.
Is that like orange or is that yellow?
I'm not for sure exactly what color that is.
It's different now,
yep,
right?
It's different colors.
Okay.
So for me, though, I just knew that was like between like a 140 and 150 heart rate. And I would do that all the time, but for hours and hours a day. So it got my actual resting heart rate down to the 30s.
It's amazing because, most like people who, I guess, weekend warriors who are at least working out 4 times a week or something can be in the 60s, right?
Right.
And then professional athletes tend to be 40s and 50s, right?
Right.
But 30s is pretty low.
Oh, yeah, 30s is real low, man. Like,
it's like some Yoda shit, bro.
Yeah, that's some Yoda shit. Well, I put some Yoda time in, man, but there was no Jedi Force. It was Goggins Force.
That's it. Anything you want to say? I mean, we cover it pretty well. I don't know if you want to underline anything about that period in your life.
Well, one big thing here that kept me going is I kept on, and there's a lot more challenges to come. I mean, we're just 8 chapters in, and what's funny is every chapter there's a new challenge for me, a new big hurdle to overcome. And like I said before, obstacles in your life, you need friction to grow. And those obstacles are friction. And that's how I started looking at everything in life. It's how you look at the obstacles in your life versus like, woe is me. My life sucks. God, why me? Why me? Why me? My mentality was like, hey, man, you know what? If I can get through this, I'm even harder than I was before. Like the more I got hit, the harder I got hit, the more I was like, okay, man, you know what? Yeah, I would get sad. You don't have fucking heart surgery. I mean, it was killing me, but like, hey, man, you're going to have heart surgery regardless. It is yours to own. I can approach it 2 ways. Either like, all negative, man, my life sucks, woe is me. Or, hey, man, I'm having heart surgery. Let's see how fast I can get better. Let's see this, let's see that. Let's have a great attitude. And another thing that kept me going was back in the day, I always thought growing up, I was the weakest man that God ever created. And my whole goal in life, I wanted to, see these uncommon men and work with them and do all these hard things and overcome all these obstacles. But my goal was to be the hardest man that God ever created. And that whole thing, it wasn't about being a SEAL. It wasn't about being a Ranger and all these other things I did in my life. It was strictly about when these times came up, like, hey, Goggins, you're going to have heart surgery. How do you attack that? That's what that's what hardness means to me. All the obstacles in your life, it's not about running fast or being some guy who can handle cold water. How do you handle what life throws at you? And I realized that's what I want to do good at. That's what I want to be an all-star at. And that's, this was another time for me to say, okay, man, this is your second heart surgery. How are you going to handle it?
Well, there's no doubt you're an all-star at it. I mean, and I think we have to go back to childhood where you did have the time where you were in the woe is me.
Right.
You did live in woe is me in times. And it doesn't mean that you didn't have some parts of your childhood that you loved. You had you had your friends, you had your popularity, you played ball, but you also had a lot of woe is me and you felt it. And then you fixed that, and then you fell back into it, and then you fixed it again. And I always say, to me, life is reps, right? It takes reps, and you got those reps in early, and that I think you had to contribute to your attitude here.
Well, think about all those, all those friends and all those good times and all that crap. Yeah, it's true, I had them, but the one thing our mind does is that we focus on the one small thing we don't have. We can have a great life, great wife, great husband, beautiful home, all this shit, but I have this one small thing in my life that's not so great, and that's what you focus on. And that's what I learned that I was doing. I was like, my God, man, my life isn't that bad, but I focused on that one kid at school who called me a nigger. The one kid at school, not the whole school. The one kid that was beating me down, that was my reality. Oh my God, everybody hates me. That's not the truth, man. It's not the truth. So I first had to find out the truth. I had to see that. Then I had to realize this. I was a weak kid. My life had made me a very fragile, insecure, weak person. And in realizing that, I wanted to master my fears. I wanted to become a master of my fears. So many of us that are afraid of something, we just shy away from it. The best way to overcome anything in life is to become a master of what you're afraid of. Become a master of your insecurities. Become a master of all that stuff. Learn about it. A lot of times you just don't know what the hell you're afraid of.
Well, it's like you've been saying all along. It's yours to own.
That's
and
right.
Once you own it and own the inevitability of the heart surgery, you can then spin it and use it in some way to grow.
Exactly, man. A lot of this stuff in your life that's happening to you, it's not going away. It's not going to go away. So you better go ahead and face it head on.
Beautiful. All right, let's get into challenge 8. And we know what it is. We talked about it in this chapter. Challenge 8. Schedule it in. It's time to compartmentalize your day. Too many of us have become multitaskers, and that's created a nation of half-asses. This will be a 3-week challenge. During week 1, go about your normal schedule, but take notes.